What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Wide Eye Sports Podcast. And we are finally post-draft. We have spent months speculating, looking at things, looking at mock drafts, doing mock drafts, looking at film, talking to each other about just months of speculation. Finally, everything is resolved, and we can just deep dive everything that is the 2024 NFL Draft. And I don't know about you guys, but I am pumped. I'm so excited. What do you guys think? How are you guys feeling?
I'm feeling great.
I know you're feeling great. I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling all right. Could have been better, I feel like.
For those of you who watch us, if you did tune into the live stream of the draft, me and Spoon spent almost the entire draft live streaming on Instagram. He was kind of upset because he wanted to just go until the Cowboys picked, and we made it to the Cowboys pick, and about 4 minutes into the Cowboys pick, they traded back. So we waited almost the entire night.
We had to wait another, 30, 45 minutes just for
about
the
45 minutes, and then they did the thing he said they were going to do, and they took a lineman.
Yep.
But they picked up a third-round pick for it. So, you got some value.
I saw some people making fun of the decision, the Cowboys aren't doing – they're going all in, and here they are moving back. And it's they got the guy that I figured they were always going to take, which was Guyton. I always thought they were going to take him anyway.
Yeah.
And the fact that they fell back 3 spots and still got him and got a third-round pick on top of it, I don't think it was an awful decision by them by any means.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Riley, we know how you're feeling. How you feel? Is Caleb Williams already the best Chicago Bears quarterback of all time?
Oh, so to put it into perspectives how bad it is, he needs a little over 2,000 yards and more than 11 touchdowns to break the Bears rookie passing records.
Lofty records there in Chicago for rookie QBs. A storied history of rookie quarterbacks over there in Chicago. Obviously, if you watch the show, Riley's a Bears fan, Spoon is a Cowboys fan, and I'm a Vikings fan. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. AJ McCarthy, number 10. I was a literal mess for about 2 hours on Thursday night. I was sweating through every piece of clothing I had on. I was just dying. But we got him. And then we do the surprise. We jump back up and take Dallas Turner, who replaces Danielle Hunter, and I couldn't be happier with the Minnesota Vikings draft. Potentially 4 day one starters if two of the guys turn out good. So I am hyped on our draft, but we're going to talk about the whole draft today. And before we do that, if you guys could just take a moment, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff real quick. We really appreciate it. But with that, let's hop on over, and we're going to take a look at the first round. So here we go. We got Caleb Williams, number 1, Jayden Daniels, number 2, Drake Maye, number 3. This is kind of the thing everybody was predicting. I really think I thought Minnesota was going to jump up to that 3 spot with the Patriots, and they tried. Both them and New York tried. I don't know if you guys heard this. I don't know what the Giants were offering. It hasn't been revealed yet, but the Vikings were offering both firsts this year, a first round next year, for the number 3 pick, and 2 mid-round picks back, so a 4th and a 5th back. And the Patriots said that's not enough. So the Vikings said, okay, cool. That's all we're willing to give. So have at it. And I don't know. What do you get? I think Caleb is Caleb. I unfortunately really like Caleb Williams, even though he's now a Chicago Bear. I like everybody makes fun of him for being too girly, too soft. I kind of like that about him. He's different. He's got that Hollywood personality that tends to work out well at the highest levels. Jayden Daniels, we all know I said he was QB1 in this draft. I think he's the most talented player overall, period. Then there's Drake Maye. Drake Maye is the project quarterback of this draft, and I think he, bearing a miracle, is sunk because he's going to a team with very little weapons, very little good infrastructure. The Patriots are just kind of a mess. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I think he. Did you see what number he picked too?
What, 10, 3?
Yeah, he picked 10.
10? Yeah.
Kind of like it's just going to be Mac Jones all over again.
Yeah.
It
And
could be.
that's
I don't know, though.
exactly how I feel.
I don't
I
know.
think that roster's so bad, I don't know what quarterback could succeed on that team.
Exactly. I think he had a shot to be good, be very good, be Justin Herbert-esque if he went to the right place, and I don't think he went to the right place. So I think that's all there is to it. I don't really see much more from there.
I think
And
it's
then
going to be
Arizona,
funny when we start seeing Mac jerseys and people just write over
just
it May.
just
put May over it.
duct tape. Oh my God, this is the start.
You can leave the MA on it. You just got to
Yeah.
change
Oh, yeah.
the C, like just cover the C and put YE. That's it.
Guys, this is the start of the Patriots Cleveland era. Like they're just gonna have just 40 different names on one jersey. Oh, poor
Nope.
Poor
That
New
was-
England. They got 6 rings. They'll be okay. They'll be all right. I don't feel as bad. Arizona goes Marvin Harrison Jr.
No surprises there.
Was there ever a mock draft in which we didn't mock him to Arizona? Was there ever one?
I don't think so. I mean,
Out
I
of
heard.
7,
I
maybe
always heard like tons of speculation about a trade possibly happening, but I was just like, it just doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. So
Yeah,
I think
no.
we always had him at 4.
Yeah, I agree. Then Joe Alt at 5. I mean, everybody thought it was either Alt or Neighbors, but whenever they cut both their wide receivers, I think everybody thought Neighbors was the pick.
Yep.
And Jim Harbaugh got up to the podium and he said, listen, offensive linemen are weapons too. And
Yep.
they got 2 really good ones with Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt. That tackle situation is set. Gus Edwards about to have a 1,200-yard season, 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns.
I think you're jumping.
I
to
think that's a
conclusions
little
really quick.
lofty.
I mean, when it happens,
I don't.
just
I don't.
remember,
I don't think he has a bad year, but you're
just
you're
remember who said
remember
it
who we're
first.
talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. This Chargers offense is going to run the football. They're going to run the football, and they're going to run the football well. So I just expect that Gus Edwards is going to be a star this year. But then the Giants. I think everybody kind of assumed the Giants were going quarterback. I was very adamant they weren't for a long time, but even I fell into the trap a little bit towards the end of like, well, maybe they could go quarterback. And they take Malik Neighbors. I don't know who's going to throw him the football, but they took Malik Neighbors, and I loved it. I was so thrilled that they didn't take a quarterback because my guy was sitting there on the board, and I was terrified that he was going to go to them. So I don't think this shocks anybody, does it? Like, it wasn't like
No, I
huge-
mean, I feel like if they weren't going to take quarterback there, they were probably going to go wide receiver just to try to because either
Yeah.
they're going to move forward with another quarterback with still no weapons to throw to, so they were going to be doomed that way either regardless. But now that they drafted a wide receiver, which I think was the only other direction to go, they're showing that they're committed to Daniel Jones for now. They're going to try to just get him a couple weapons to throw the ball to.
Yeah, for sure. And then J.C. Latham at 7. I
Yeah,
felt
we-
like a couple people were surprised that Latham went so early, but you called it.
Yeah.
You said that Latham could even go like as the first tackle off the board
Yep.
potentially.
There's some mock
So-
drafts that I did too that I was taking him at 5 for the
Yeah.
Chargers. It was between him and Joe Alt. I think them two were easily the best tackles on the board here.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm not really.
Well, did
You
we
cut
lose
out there,
Brenner?
buddy. I think we lost Brenner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
Brenner, we lost you.
got no sound.
No sound. Damn, that sucks too. Because the next
Right.
pick is one that we
Right
really
as
want to
we
talk
were
about.
getting to the Michael
Yeah.
Penix pick.
Hear me.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
there we
cutting
go.
out, but you're coming in.
It's so weird.
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, now it says he's muted. Oh,
There we go. How's that?
Yep,
That's
I can
better.
hear you.
Okay, cool. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. I don't know what happened there. I went on mute and I was going back and forth to mute. So.
Yeah, it's still
See-
cutting out.
yeah, you're cutting out bad.
Yep, I can
I
hear.
was
I can hear you. I understand what you're saying, but it's cutting out real bad.
I
Still?
was checking the
Oh,
spoon.
that's
I was
better.
like,
Whatever
this-
you just did,
How is this?
that's better.
yeah.
Better?
Normal.
Yep.
We back on track?
We're back on track because
All right,
we
cool,
definitely
cool,
want to
cool.
talk about the next pick.
Yeah, the Michael Penix pick. Oh,
All right.
oh.
So can we just go ahead and say this is probably the biggest reach of the draft?
I mean,
I think it's a
Yes.
huge reach.
I mean, that's an understatement, right? Like, I'm gonna. What, Riley?
The only way I could make it make sense is if the Falcons think that they're going to lose picks next year because of the tampering allegations, or they think that they're going to miss Kirk for a couple games next season because of the allegations. Like, outside of that, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to take your future
but
quarterback so soon.
Even then, you have a full season to develop whoever you want. And, I mean, Michael Penix was the 31st consensus player in the draft. The 31st. I mean, this is a negative 23 reach. Like, I get reaching for a guy 5 picks. I get reaching for a guy 7, 8 picks even. Like, that's okay. Like, position of need, you reach for him. Not a position of need. Massive reach. And you have to pay Kirk Cousins $110 million over the next 3 years, no matter what.
And
Like, I've heard people like, well, you know, what if Kirk gets hurt? What if this? What if that? You're paying Kirk either way.
Yeah. You can
Like,
have a cheaper bridge quarterback than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. It's just, why would you waste the number 8 pick on Penix when you could have traded back and got him at pick 20 and picked up more picks? Like, there's so many things that could have happened.
They had every defensive player on the board available for them.
Every single one.
Players had been selected yet.
I was saying, back to what Riley says, is that even if the Falcons were to like miss Kirk for a few games, they still have Taylor Heineke as their backup.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Desmond Ritter can win games with the Falcons, Heineke can win games with the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just like, that defense is what carries them anyway. And the fact that they did not go, like, I don't know, just even offensive tackle or anything to try to help protect Kirk, like, that just tells me that they don't believe in Kirk. And if I'm Kirk Cousins, that's a huge L. That's a big blow to my face, and I would be that's showing that my team doesn't truly believe in me.
So I said this on the live stream when they took Michael Penix. Kirk Cousins is a very touchy individual when it comes to how his quarterback room is set up. Sean Mannion had a job in the NFL for 4 years because he's a very smart dude that can't actually play quarterback. And Kirk loves those guys around him because they can help him learn and understand the game without actually causing him any threat.
Yeah.
Of the starting quarterback position. That's why we didn't take a quarterback last year. There's so many things Kirk is not okay with, and with this situation, and I'm speechless, truly speechless that Atlanta would do this. Like, their owner told their head coach, hey, do whatever it takes to go get Kirk Cousins, and then they turn around and spend the number 8 pick on a quarterback when there's people who can help you win this year available.
I mean, remind me, how long is Kirk's contract?
4 years, right? $180 million.
Yep.
And I think
do they have the option after the 3rd year, though? Is it a player option, or is it
No, there's no option. He just doesn't have any more guaranteed money the 4th year. He has guaranteed money the first 3 years. It's like 60, 40, 10. They could really cut him the 3rd year and only have to pay him $10 million, but still they're paying him $110 million guaranteed over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. So, but let's continue to move on. We'll come back to this. We're going to talk quarterbacks at the end of this. Next up is the Chicago Bears taking Rome Odunze. Riley, how do you feel about this pick?
I mean, I like the pick. He was the best wide receiver on the board. I thought there was a situation where they could have traded up, but obviously, as a Bears fans are only going to post Rome Odunze's highlights.
Yeah.
But everything I have seen has made me very excited for this kid's future. And he doesn't need to come in and be a superstar right away. I mean, he's our wide receiver 3 right now.
For sure.
I know you were not a fan of him.
He's not
a fan.
I mean, I don't hate the pick. I think it's good because you have Austin Eckler for 1 year. Let Rome.
Or you mean Keenan Allen?
Or Is it? Oh yeah, not my bad. You have
Yeah.
Keenan
You're good.
Allen
You're good.
playing.
You're good.
But yeah, just let him get behind him, learn a little bit from him, and then if Keenan Allen doesn't pan out, you have I mean, I don't think a star, but you at least have a good wide receiver too, I believe.
I do have a question for you, Brenner.
Yeah.
I saw a stat that said that Rome led college football in yards and maybe receptions too against man coverage. What are your concerns for him? Is it him versus zone, or is it something that he can't?
So it's exactly that. He only succeeded against man coverage in college, where man coverage is far less common because of the inconsistencies of you have a cornerback who's only playing cornerback because they have a 4.3 40, not because they're actually a good football player. In college, you have so many guys that are just out there because they're big and fast, not because they have any skill yet. They haven't developed yet as players. And especially in the Pac-12, they're like, the Pac-12 had some great teams last year, but the only good defense was UCLA. UCLA had a good defense last year. Other than that, everybody was kind of known for being a really poor defense in the Pac-12. And yeah, he succeeded against it. And yeah, he did really good at man coverage. But I said he was going to be the next Kevin White. That's the last thing I said. And I went back and I looked at some tape and I looked at some numbers, and Kevin White was a bit of a reach. I think he actually compares way closer to another guy that actually I'm very familiar with in Laquan Treadwell. He plays very similar to how Laquan Treadwell played in college. Just that super good against man, just beating people with size, speed, athletic ability. Not something you really see in the NFL unless you have a Calvin Johnson, a Julio Jones, a Terrell Owens.
But this is where I think that Keenan Allen trade is huge, because I think he can help Rome with a lot of those things.
Yeah, Rome's going to have to become a great route runner to succeed at the NFL level. And when you go number 9 overall and somebody comes up to you and is like, listen, you don't know shit, kid, it usually doesn't go very well for the kid. Like, it's like Johnny Manziel with Josh McCown. Josh McCown coming up and being like, dude, you don't know shit. Let me guide you. And Johnny Manziel's like, yeah, fuck you, dude. I just went top 10. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Like,
well, the flip side of that, though, is he was the 3rd wide receiver taken.
Yeah, true. Little chip on your shoulder.
It's not like he was the top guy in his receiving class, the only wide receiver taken in the top 10.
Which, with that being the case too, I feel like Rome might feel like he has something to prove as well, because he doesn't have that spotlight of him being the number 1 or the number 2 guy. It's like, oh, they wanted me at 3. That's where they feel that I'm at. Like, maybe he'll come out and maybe he will ball out a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? I don't think he is a Jameson Williams level bust, but I definitely don't. I see him very akin to how I see Tyler Boyd. I see them as very similar players, and that's not saying Tyler Boyd's a good wide receiver 2 and a legendary wide receiver 3. You know, like
Tyler Boyd's a great. I would love to have Tyler Boyd as my wide receiver 3 on the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's a serviceable starter every year. He could go anywhere and get on the field, right? Like, I'm not saying that. Like, that's why I said that Kevin White was a bit of a reach. He's not. Rome
Splits ended his career.
Exactly. So, but let's continue. Let's continue here with the next pick. That's going to take a second as well. JJ McCarthy. The Vikings move up 1 spot. We give up a 4th and a 5th, get back a 7th and the number 10 pick to go grab JJ McCarthy. And we're going to talk more about this later, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this.
Oh, we are? Okay. Because I was going to ask you a question about it, but I don't know. If you want me to wait, I'll wait. That's fine.
You can ask the question right now. Go for it.
Well, it's about the pick. I was just going to say, do you think the Michael Penix do you think the pick of him at 8 kind of scared the Vikings a little bit and made them want to move up to make sure they grab JJ McCarthy right here at 10?
No, I think Denver loved JJ McCarthy, and I think Sean Payton's a dirty, rotten liar when he was like, we always wanted Bo Nix. Yeah, no, you didn't. That when JJ McCarthy was asked, like, who were the teams that you thought would take you? He's like, well, definitely Minnesota. And then next, I thought for sure Denver. Like, he's like, one of those 2 teams was going to take me. So While Denver can sit there, Sean Payton, I'm sure you guys saw the viral clip of Sean Payton be like, I was actively involved in lying about trying to jump up and get a guy. Like, no, you weren't. You wanted JJ McCarthy. Like, Denver forced Minnesota, who isn't in the same conference, to jump and give an AFC rival more ammunition and more picks. Like, where do you benefit in that? You benefit in no way. They wanted McCarthy. They settled for Nix. And, we'll talk more on JJ McCarthy later. Next up, Fashanu, Penn State tackle, goes to the Jets. I think it's a phenomenal move by the Jets. They're building for the future. They're not just selling out for Aaron Rodgers right now, because Aaron Rodgers probably has 1, maybe 2 more seasons, and you don't want to be left in 3 years with no roster for whoever takes over after him. Then you have the Bo Nix pick, and like I said, we'll talk more quarterback later. If you've watched the show before, Spoon's a fan of Bo Nix. I am not a fan of Bo Nix. Riley, I don't really think you have an issue with Bo Nix. Do you?
No,
you like him? You hate him?
So my biggest things with quarterbacks is it's more about where they go rather than how much they do. Like Brock Purdy, he's not a top 5 talent guy, but
but if he was on the Patriots last year,
who?
If he was on the Patriots last year, he would know he'd be nowhere near what he is right now.
Yes, but he can run his offense magnificent
to a T.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. I think I do like him going to Denver with Sean Payton. We know Sean Payton can get the most out of his quarterbacks. It's just a matter of what the most looks like for Bo Nix.
Yeah, and we'll talk more quarterbacks later, so let's move on to one of my biggest steals of the first round here in Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers was a top 5 consensus player on most boards, 7th overall among all the boards, and he goes at number 13 to the Raiders, who give Minshew another weapon with Devontae Adams and what's their other receiver's name? Oh, the slender guy. Touchdown machine. Oh, why can I not think of his name right now? Oh my God, I'm having.
I mean, you already said Devontae Adams, right?
He's out.
But the other, what?
I know who you're talking about. No.
The other dude who had like 10 touchdowns last year. Spoon, can you look that up for me?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Okay, cool. But they
Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers, thank you.
Why couldn't we think of that?
I
had him on my fantasy team last year.
Yeah, I wanted to say Michael Myers, but I was thinking of Michael Mayer, who they took last year, and so I knew that wasn't it. But I think it's a great pick. I think he's a phenomenal talent, and I think they got a steal. Fauga goes to the Saints. I think the Saints are in rebuild mode. I think they're going to be a bottom 5 team in the league next year. They're just getting a solid tackle to build around for years to come. I like the move. Anybody else? Everybody like that? No. I thought it was good.
They took him maybe 3 spots back from where I originally had him going. I think I had him actually going to the Jets instead of Fashanu. So, I mean, I don't.
Yeah. So here is the next up is the Colts taking Liatu Latu. And I think this was a bit of a reach considering this is the first ever draft where we had 14 consecutive players taken on one side of the ball or the other. And the first draft where 14 were taken to start the draft. So both records were set. And with all the defensive talent you have available, you take him. And I did say that UCLA was the only good defense in the Pac-12, but they were still a Pac-12 defense. It
still wasn't great.
Yeah, they weren't like a top 5 defense by any metric. So
I mean, here's my issue with it. Whenever you have a talent that we all had going like in the top 8 in our mock drafts, which is
everybody had. Yeah.
I had him going above him. I had him being the best edge rusher. They took Liatu Latu instead. Kind of questionable. I don't know if I like the pick really that much. I mean, maybe their coach sees something that we don't. Who knows?
Maybe. But I think this next pick you did like, didn't you? Didn't you like?
I did like it. Everybody kept judging me, saying like, "Oh, he's not going to go that high. He's not going to go that high." And I'm like, dude, he's the best defensive tackle.
I even said he was. I said on the live stream night of the draft, I'm like, they're not taking Byron Murphy. I think we're at I think they were at the Saints pick, and you were like, "Well, Seattle could take Byron Murphy." I'm like, "They're not taking Byron Murphy, dude."
I think we were at the Saints pick, and we pulled up. We had all these offensive guys already gone.
Yeah, and we're like, "Who's left?"
And we were going over defensive players, and I was like, "Dude, I'm telling you, Byron Murphy's about to go. Byron Murphy's about to go." And then you're like,
"You're right."
You said, "Well, where is he going to go?" And I'm like, "Dude, like he could go to the Colts. He could go to Seattle." And then I think who was sitting?
I threw out Jerzon Newton's name like 80 times in a row.
Yep.
But speaking of, we talked about the best edge rusher available.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about Dallas?
This in the first round, this was my steal.
I tend to agree with you. This guy has been mocked as a more athletic version of Von Miller, and anytime you're mocked as a more athletic version of a former Super Bowl MVP, I kind of like that. So,
no, I was shocked that he was not the first edge rusher taken.
Dude, I'm shocked that he didn't go at 8 to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, that's where he should be.
That's where he should be. And if he shouldn't be there, I'm sorry, Riley, but I mean, the Bears missed out on taking Dallas Turner at 9 instead of drafting Roma Dunze.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that could have boosted or that could have just helped your defense tremendously. Boosted them. That's what I was trying to say.
I mean, I love it though. Yeah. Well, the Vikings did give up quite a bit to get back up in here. I think they gave up a third and 2/4 plus the 22nd overall pick.
Well, with the talent that you're getting out of Dallas Turner, I definitely think that's worth it. Because I'm sitting here as a Cowboys fan, and I'm like, bro, if we would have given that up, I would have loved it. I would have said, "Yep, we're going all in. We're getting him." That's what we did.
So I don't remember.
He didn't do that. So
have it here. I think it's in my other notebook. Damn it. So I went back. Oh, was that it? This is it. Okay, perfect. I went back to 2014 and looked up every single first round edge defender that was taken and that had above a 6.72 grade. So where Dallas Turner was his grade for the draft. Everybody else has been a hit in the first round except for Rashawn Gary, Taco Charlton, who went way higher than anybody thought he would go. The Cowboys took him in a huge shocker, and then Shane Ray, who's the only absolute bust on this list. Rashawn Gary's been a solid starter for the Packers, but he's not a first-round talent in my opinion. Taco Charlton wasn't supposed to be a first-round pick, and shockingly went in the first round. And then Shane Ray was a solid bust. He was a bust.
So you have 3 busts in the last 10 years. So who are some
of
the...
And then you have Jadeveon Clowney, Leonard Williams, Joey Bosa, DeForest Buckner, Hassan Reddick, Derek Barnett, Solomon Thomas, Jonathan Allen, Myles Garrett, Bradley Chubb, Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah. That's a long list of
a long list of, worked out. So I was stoked, super happy. A lot of the, Mel Kiper gave the Vikings a bad grade because they leveraged the future in next year's draft. We kept our first round pick. Granted, we don't have a second, a third, or a fourth now, but we have a first round pick. We have $100 million in cap space, and we have 3 or 4 picks in the last 2 rounds. So we can still bring in some rookies. We have tons of cap space. I love how this draft played out for us. If you would have told me that I get to keep my first round pick next year, I get JJ McCarthy and Dallas Turner, bro, I am fucking through the roof pre-draft. So, but next up, Amarius Mims of the Bengals. Got to protect Joey B after him getting hurt last season.
Well,
I think that.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying that I thought this was a great pick. That's all. That's all.
Well, I'm just saying if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, finally.
Yeah, finally. Protect Joe Burrow.
That's what I mean. I
That's
remember
what cost them the Super Bowl.
Everybody knows the memes from freaking 2-3 years ago about him. Yeah. Either they drafted somebody for him to throw to, but he had nobody to protect him, or you do the opposite. He has nobody to throw to, but
and then they went out and got Brown, and that's worked out fine.
And it's just the last 2 years they drafted a defensive end in the first round, and then they drafted a safety in the first round. It really showed that they just don't care about protecting.
Well, they tried to protect him, but through free agency, not through the draft. I think they nailed this pick, and I think it'll be good.
Do too. I honestly think that he is probably the most underrated offensive tackle in this draft. I think I have high hopes for Amarius Mims. I think he's going to be great, and I think getting him at 18, I think he could be up there with Joe Alt.
Pedigree. Next up, we got Jared Verse, who is another guy who is actually identical to Dallas Turner in prospect grade at a 6.72. Who we all thought it was either Verse or Turner was the best edge rusher, edge defender in this class. And I think the Rams they end up taking Braden Fisk later on in the draft. They get to keep these two together from that vaunted Florida State defense last year. I think they nailed this. I think they lose Aaron Donald, but they add 2 rookies on that D line that I think are going to play there for the next 5 to 10 years. And I think it worked out well for them. Troy Fatanu to the Steelers. I felt like the Steelers were a good trade down candidate, but I don't hate this pick. I feel like he'll play guard for them. So, hey, good pick overall. Solid pick. Chop Robinson, though, going early.
Yep.
Jumping up there. We talked about it. We talked about it.
it.
He could be a jumper. He could jump up and go from his projected second up into the late first. And here he is in the mid first round. I was stoked for this guy.
Question for you guys. Who was the first person that put him in the first round in their mock drafts?
Lane Cooner, I believe.
Yeah, that was me. I said he was. I said don't underestimate this guy. He has promise. Sure. I like him a lot, and I think it's a great pick for the Miami Dolphins here. Honestly, I think he has huge potential.
So this guy right here, Chop Robinson, I was listening to the new Michigan head coach, the guy who took over for Harbaugh, talk earlier today about J.J. McCarthy, Viking fan listening to J.J. McCarthy information. And they were talking about the Penn State game when Harbaugh got suspended. The new head coach found out the morning of he was going to be the interim head coach for that game. So he was kind of thrown into the fire. And he said that Chop Robinson was such an issue that is why they ran the ball 32 straight times in that game, because they didn't feel like they could stop Chop Robinson in the pass rush. They were like, if we throw the ball, like unless we're throwing bubble screens or slants, like he's going to get home. Like we just didn't have a way to stop him. And so they ran the ball 32 straight times. And
I just want to point out, what a cool name for an edge rusher too. I love it. Chop Robinson.
Chop.
Like I love that. It's such a hard name. I love it.
Next up, one of the best drafts we had all season or all year. The Philadelphia Eagles go and get Quinyon Mitchell, first cornerback off the board. Absolutely love the pick. Spoon probably hates it a little bit, but CeeDee Lamb's got a rival in Philly for the next 5 years, so that's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
He's got a couple from this draft, actually.
Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr. jumps up, goes to Jacksonville. We'll talk more about this later on in the offseason, but Trevor Lawrence I'm kind of 50-50 on him right now, but this is a great weapon for him. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is a great kid. I think he can be really good at the NFL level. I think that it's very similar to how Justin Jefferson was downgraded because he played with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I feel like Brian Thomas Jr. is that same way. Like he had Jaden Daniels and he had Malik Neighbors. Of course he's going to succeed. And this kid's a baller. This kid's good. He's fast. He's strong. He runs good routes. He is a baller.
I'm pretty sure a lot of us had him going here. I think we did a mock draft with him going to Jacksonville a couple times. I didn't see them going I didn't see Jacksonville going in another direction here, especially after losing Calvin Ridley. That's a lot of targets. That's a lot of targets that they need to make up for, and hopefully Brian Thomas is the guy.
Yeah, hopefully. Next up, you have what a lot of people are calling the steal of the draft. And, I mean, you guys know this. We've talked about the Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold debate a bunch of times.
Yep.
I don't hate this pick by any means, but I don't think this is the steal of the draft. We're not. I don't feel like any of us were ever like, oh yeah, Terrion Arnold was a top 10 pick. Like we always had him kind of in the late teens, early 20s area. I feel like this is where he should have gone based on the players available. I mean, I could have seen him to Miami or Philly or I could have seen him anywhere in there, but I don't feel like this is some major steal. Do you guys? Am I totally wrong on that?
I don't think it's the steal of the draft, but I do think it's definitely up there as one of the steals for me. So one of the things that I noticed is whenever somebody would trade up, I knew exactly who they were going with every time, because I would say that there's a player falling and one of those was Dallas Turner. And as soon as the Vikings moved up to 17, I told you, I was like, yep, here goes Dallas Turner.
I was so hyped. I was like, oh my God.
And the same thing happened with the Lions. As soon as the Lions moved up, I was like, they're moving up to take Terrion Arnold. That's why they're moving up. I do think that you could argue that he's the best corner in this draft, easily.
Absolutely. You could definitely.
I mean, I could have seen him go as far up as 16 to the Seahawks, maybe, if they wanted to add another corner, but I didn't think they were going to do that.
Yeah, but there's all
possibly even like to the Colts at 15. I could have seen him go that high as well because the Colts need defensive help. So getting him at 24, I do think it's a little bit of a steal. I don't think it's a steal of the draft.
Yeah, I definitely think it was good value. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't a good value pick, but we saw him go as early as Indy, like we talked about. We had Quinyon Mitchell going to Indy. We had Dejon Cooper going to Indy at one point. We also saw drafts where he fell out of the first round entirely. So I just didn't think, I've been hearing a lot about Detroit and how, this is the steal that, I can't believe they got this, day one Pro Bowl cornerback. And I just don't see him as that. I see him as a day one starter for sure, but just not a, bona fide Revis Island cornerback. So, but next up, we have the Green Bay Packers taking Jordan Morgan. Packers fans, I was with one when the draft happened. They weren't in shambles by any means, but they definitely weren't.
They didn't
stoked.
like it.
Yeah, they weren't.
I'm pretty sure they showed a Packers fan in the audience, and she was just like, "What? Wow."
Well, they're replacing Bakhtiari is what they're doing. Yeah. They're getting a replacement for Bakhtiari, but I mean, solid pick. I think they reached a little bit on him, but hey, the Green Bay Packers have drafted a lot of linemen that have worked out in the past 12, 15 years. So who am I to tell them they're wrong? Graham Barton out of Duke going to Tampa Bay. We talked about it 100 times. Tampa Bay needed a little bit of everything. There wasn't going to be a bad pick for them as long as they didn't pick, Spencer Rattler in the first round. So,
good pick. They also just paid Baker, so picking up some protection for him definitely helps out.
Yeah,
just a little bit of insurance.
Darius Robinson out of Missouri going to Arizona. Solid pick up there. He'll be a really good 3-4, but he can play in a 4-3 so good solid pick up there. Here we go, Spoon. The Buffalo Bills trade out of the 28 pick with the Kansas City Chiefs, and your boy X goes at pick 28.
I said it, dude.
You did.
I've been saying it for so long because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid love quick receivers. They had Tyreek Hill, they had Mecole Hardman. So it just makes sense for the fastest person to ever run a 4.4 the 40 in a combine. I mean, obviously he ran a 4.2 something, I don't know. But it just makes sense for him to go to the Chiefs, and that's exactly what happened.
I just think there were a lot better players on the board here, and that Kansas City could have gotten this guy at 32. I don't know. I may be totally wrong.
I'm just saying, from somebody that watched a lot of Texas games, being a Longhorns fan, Worthy was a beast. When Worthy when Worthy there was a couple times that Worthy would roll his ankle and he'd be out, and I'd be like, God dang it! I was like, there goes our best receiver. The guy that he was a playmaker. He made so many plays in Texas, and I don't see him not doing the same thing in Kansas City with Andy Reid's offense. They're going to set him up.
All right, next up, Spoon called it 1,000 times. Tyler Guyton to the Cowboys. We've talked about it already, so we're not going to dive super deep into it. Yep. Spoon, congrats, you were right.
Okay. I feel like you're saying that I'm right a lot, and it's making me feel good because sometimes I feel like I don't know shit about the draft, and it could go any way, which it did. But I mean, like I said in the podcast, they traded back, got the guy that they were going to take at 24 regardless. So it's a win in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. Baltimore takes Nate Wiggins to go opposite of Marlon Humphrey. Love that pick. Lots of good cornerbacks. Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean, Terrion Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, all of them going to be solid starters in the NFL. Ricky Pearsall was kind of a shock at number 31. I thought
huge shock.
For sure they were going to go Ladd McConkey here. For sure going Ladd McConkey. And then not only did they not go Ladd McConkey, but Xavier Legette goes to Carolina, who I actually really like, and I'm totally cool with that pick.
Yeah. The more that I watch on him, though, I like Xavier more and more.
Oh,
the
yeah.
more I watch.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't hate
He-
that pick by any means.
I think he's going to be good. Ricky is a big, like he's a very. He reminds me a lot of like a non-athletic version of Larry Fitzgerald when I watch him. Like he just everything that gets near him, he sucks in.
He has
And
hands. 100%.
Yeah, he's got great hands, great body control. He's just not as athletic as some legendary receivers, which isn't a knock on him. Those are legendary receivers for a reason. So I think he could, especially in Shanahan's offense. I think this signifies the end of Brandon Ayuk, though. This is Brandon Ayuk's role that Ricky fits perfectly into. He's definitely not a Deebo Samuel type.
No.
So there's been speculations we'd get rid of Deebo before we got rid of Ayuk, and I think this signifies the end of Ayuk in San Francisco.
I think so too, and I think it's cool too that the Panthers, they were kind of upset that they weren't going to get a pick on the first night, so they decided to jump up to 32 real quick.
Yeah,
They're like, we got to
So-
have a pick on night 1. So sorry, Bills fans, that you didn't get to see shit, but
yeah, for real.
that sucks. Can you go to the second round though?
Yeah, let's.
We're
I
not-
was just about to say. Oh, you want to see the whole second round?
Oh no, not the whole second round. I just want to go
Okay,
over like
okay.
the first couple. Picks.
Yeah, I was gonna pop back over to here.
Okay, that's
take
fine.
take this off. Just us talk. I have a couple steals here that I would like to bring up as far as the second round goes. If that's all right. I want to just get some thoughts on them. First up is my boy Ladd McConkey. He was only taken one spot ahead of his consensus big board pick, but with all the other receivers going ahead of him, I felt like this is a really good value for the Chargers. And the Chargers now have a first round talent from last year who we'll see in Quentin Johnston if he pans out. Didn't have a great rookie season, but there's still some time. And then Ladd McConkey. So you have your big body, dominant wide receiver, and then you have a great route runner as a 1-2 combo. They're in LA for Herb to throw to with two stalwart tackles to protect him. So I like that. Washington, who had a phenomenal draft overall, goes and gets
Great draft.
Jerzon Newton at 36 when he was big.
Dude, I had him going in the first round. That's
Yeah.
one of my. I think that's a
Right.
bigger steal than Terrion Arnold at 24. I think Jazon Newton
Absolutely.
going in the second round was probably my second biggest steal. Period. So
I mean, you guys heard me say it 100 times. I think this dude's Aaron Donald level clone. I mean, I had him going at 12 in some drafts, and I've seen him going as high as 10 in other drafts. So he was big board consensus, 24th overall player, goes at pick 36. That's a 12-player jump. I feel like that was really good.
it definitely
next up-
upset me being a Cowboys fan watching us take Tyler Guyton with Jerzon Newton still on the board. I would have loved to added him to. I would have
Yeah.
loved to add him to my defense, but
Absolutely. This one had to upset you too a little bit. I'm assuming. Philadelphia goes and gets Cooper DeJean at pick 40 when he was.
projected to go in the
Consensus
first
big
round,
board.
dude.
So
Yeah.
I keep throwing out the term consensus big board. Consensus big board. The NFL and tons of other people do mock drafts. There's a website called Mock Draft Database that compiles all the mock drafts on the internet, like 176 different mock drafts from different people, different websites, and then does a consensus mock and a consensus big board. And that's whose big board I went off of. So this is their overall average. And Cooper DeJean was big board player number 18, and he goes at pick 40.
Yep.
And I'm not about to be like, oh, it's because he's white, because I don't think that's why. I just am shocked that he went this low. Like I 100% thought he was going to be a first round pick.
I mean, honestly, I feel like the Eagles got good value where they took Quinyon Mitchell, and they got good value, obviously, where they took Cooper DeJean too. So
Or they took,
I hate-
Detroit took Aaron Arnold.
yeah,
Had a brain fart for a second.
oh, you're good. But yeah, that's they definitely got good value with both of those picks. So as much as I hate to say it, good job.
And then my last big steal of the second round, I had 4 players. Las Vegas is Jackson Powers Johnson. He was the consensus 30th overall player. They get him at pick 44. That's a jump of 14 spots, and they get a really solid offensive lineman to probably play for them for the next 4 to 8 years. And I really liked it. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else for the second round that jumped out to you?
I mean, I had Adonai Mitchell go. I'm just gonna say my Texas boy real quick. I'm surprised that some of those other, just like you're surprised that those wide receivers went above Lad McConkey.
Yep.
I'm surprised that Adonai Mitchell didn't go above them either. So that kind of shocked me. I think that Buffalo took him right first pick of the second round.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think Buffalo. I feel like they always wanted him, and moving back to get him, that was. I mean, it's not terrible.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, round 3. Round 3 fight. No. The Los Angeles Rams grab Blake Corum. It's only a +7. He was a 76th overall player, he was the 83rd overall player, got taken 76. It's not a huge jump here, but him and Kyron Williams are going to be in problem for the NFL. Blake Corum can absolutely tote the rock as well as anybody else, and Kyron Williams has proven he is a bell cow. Those two are going to be an issue for the NFL. That is going to be a scary duo in the LA Rams backfield next year.
Can I just go back real quick? I'm sorry, but no. Keon Coleman went to the Bills. I was way off. Adonai Mitchell went late in the second round to the Colts. So I think that was
to the Bills. My bad. I would have corrected you. Yeah, Keon Coleman's been setting the internet on fire.
Yeah.
He's been all over the internet.
I was gonna bring up from the first or the second round now that I can actually see every single pick. Kool-Aid McKinstry going at 9 in the second round. People had him going early.
See, I thought the farther we got in the process, I think that was a reach. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is more of a third round even type. I thought that was a reach. He was a big name.
I don't think the value.
He went to Bama.
The value there wasn't bad in my opinion.
I mean, maybe I don't see it. I don't see it. But hey, whenever you watch your future quarterback, totally torch those guys in a playoff game, it tends to change your opinion. So, messing. So, one of my huge draft crushes, a huge draft crush for me, Marshawn Lloyd out of USC. Caleb Williams, former RB1. He goes to the Green Bay Packers in an absolute steal of a player. He was actually, picked 88th, and his big board was 88, so it's actually like dead nuts value. But I think Marshawn Lloyd is potentially a high-level starter at running back. They get to pair him with Josh Jacobs in Green Bay, and that is a problem for the rest of the league. He's really good. He just does everything really good. If the running back position wasn't so devalued, he would be a first-round pick. He is that good. Next up, I have maybe the steal of the draft, and nobody's talking about it. We had this guy go at every single mock draft we did. We had him in the first round. You heard Spoon say his name. Yep. Peyton Wilson, linebacker out of North Carolina State, went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He went in the third round. We had this guy in the mid-20s in every draft we did because it was the most Dan Campbell thing ever to have him pick a linebacker in the first round. And he went defense in the first round. We weren't too far off. But, I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, this dude's this dude's a stud. Like, this dude is I'm trying to think of the guy, Irving, the Seahawks. Bruce Irving, thank you. He's a Bruce Irving clone. Like, he's gonna be good. Like, he's gonna head up the Steelers' inside linebacker position for the next 10 years. And they got him in the third round, which just blows my mind. Mike Tomlin was probably dancing on a table when he got to make this call.
Well, that's do you have another steal, or is that it for you?
I got one more. I was
gonna say, because that's a pretty good segue into the next thing. But go ahead.
Okay. Last one, Luke McCaffrey, big boarded at pick 100, winning 138, 38 player jump. The bloodline runs strong, man. You got to go bloodline. He's going to be good. I'm not saying he's going to be Christian level good, but he's going to be good. Then I'm on to round 4, Spoon. What do you got?
Oh, are you going round by round?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. Next up, round 4. Denver gets Troy Franklin. He was selected 61 spots back of his consensus big board. His big board was 39, and they got him at pick 102. So,
I mean, I've seen people take him in the second round in mock drafts.
So
Like, really
they
second
pair
round.
him
That's
with his college quarterback.
wild.
That's probably going to be his number one weapon in Denver next season. But, who knows? So Sean Payton, for being the sneaky, lying, cheating bastard he is, he knows how to run an offense. Next up, and I'm going to murder this guy's name. It is super long. Dadrion Taylor Demerso. And he's a safety out of Texas Tech. His overall draft consensus was 104. They got him around pick 119. I think it was a really good value. I don't think he's the next, Troy Polamalu or anything, but I just thought it was a really good value pick, kind of underrated, a guy we didn't really talk about much because we didn't do anything outside the second round. I thought it was a really good value pick. And then I have 2 defensive backs as my last 2 fourth round steals. One of them is Minnesota's own Kyrie Jackson, cornerback out of Oregon. This dude was consensus board 98th. We got him at pick 108. He is a 6'4", 215-pound Nick Saban coached cornerback. He was a guy, he's older. That's my only issue with him. And I think that's why he fell, because he'll be 25 when the season starts, but COVID year, so everybody's a little older.
Yep.
The thing with him is he went to JUCO, bounced out of JUCO for failure, like grades wise, was working at a supermarket and got like employee of the month at the supermarket, and it like spurred him to like, I can achieve something in life. And then went and played at Alabama, sat at Alabama for a year, and then went and played at Oregon. And that's why he's so much older now, because he, was in JUCO for 2 years, dropped out of JUCO, went and was working at a grocery store. Like, all this stuff happened to him. And I think that's why he fell. From what I've heard about this kid, this dude he is the definition of a dog. Like, he got that dog in it. Like, that is the, like, when they drafted him, he picked up the phone and he was like, listen, you just got the best corner in the draft, bottom line. Guaranteed. And he's in the 4th round. Like, nobody, like, come on, dude. You like, most 4th round picks, like, oh my God, thank you so much, coach. Oh my God, they're crying, right? Nah, this dude was shopping, missed the phone call, gets the second phone call, picks up the phone and goes, oh, what's up, coach? Oh, coach, you got the best corner in the draft. You ain't got to worry. Like, what? So, like, he's just that dog personality, which you kind of need in that Brian Flores defense. And then last, I got Jaden Hicks, Washington State safety. Consensus pick number 69. Nice. Picked at 133 overall. That's a 64 spot jump. That is huge. This kid he is a Earl Thomas light. He's not going to be Earl Thomas, but he plays very similar to how Earl Thomas plays. I'm a huge Washington State fan, so, I'm a little biased in that regard, but he is a really good player, and the consensus board showed that, and he slipped, and, they got an absolute steal over there in Kansas City, and I just thought it was great value pick on it. I say that a lot.
Oh, go ahead.
I say that a lot.
I was going to say, I want to give a shout out to this 4th round pick from the Eagles. Yeah. Will Shipley. I watched a lot of Clemson college football this year.
Yep.
That dude, every time that I saw like just some crazy play happening, it was him.
Yeah, for sure.
It was always him. Dude, super athletic. I think getting him, like taking a chance on him in the 4th round is definitely worth it. I'm not excited to see how he plays, but
so hold on. Time out. A little bit of breaking news here. Boston Scott has reached a 1-year deal with the LA Rams. So a little bit of breaking news there. Nothing major, but Riley, continue what you were saying.
The New York Jets, I don't know what round they drafted him, but they drafted a running back named Isaiah Davis. I played against him my junior year of high school. He went to high school in
Joplin, Missouri.
Yes, hometown guy. Yeah.
Hey, look at you.
Look at him.
out there getting trucked.
I think we won 2 games that year, and I'm fairly certain one of them was against Joplin.
Who'd you say took him again?
Fairly certain.
Who'd you say took him? Who'd you say took him?
The Jets.
The Jets.
Jets
Running
took him.
Out of South Dakota.
South Dakota State.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't hate it. We got round 5 though, and I'm gonna butcher another name here. The Bills took the center out of Georgia. It's Cedric Van Pan Granger. Yes, that is a mouthful. I know. They took him at pick 1, or they consensus big board had him at 103. The first pick of the 5th round is pick 137. So they got him way later than he thought. The Bears get an edge out of the University of Kansas, or Kansas University.
I thought you were going to talk about that punter we took.
No.
Best player in Iowa, man.
No. We're gonna talk about the edge defender out of KU, Austin Booker. He was consensus big board at 79th overall, and you guys got him 140 plus. So great value there. New Orleans takes Spencer Rattler, who is 71st on the big board, and then Jeremiah Trotter. Have you guys heard about this kid?
The names,
yeah.
So Clemson linebacker, 95th overall on the big boards. Philly gets him late in the 5th round. This dude is an absolute stud. He's one of those guys that fell because of people tend to discount plays against lower level competition. Jeremiah Trotter is going to be a linebacker in the NFL for the next 8 years. He's a good player. He'll make a spot on a team, special teams or otherwise. He's an NFL player for the next decade almost. So great pick by Philly. Just great overall pick. Next up, we got the 6th round, unless any of you have a 5th round guy that you want to name off. Cool.
I don't.
Cool. I only have 2. Philadelphia picked a 6'6", 230-pound wide receiver who played tight end in college out of Florida State. His name's Johnny Wilson. Dude run like a 4.5 40 at 6'6", 230. Freak athlete. Consensus big board at 114. The first pick of the 6th round is 180. So way deeper than anybody thought he would go, and great overall talent. Detroit picks up a Boston College guard named Christian Mahogany. He was number 101 on the consensus big board, and they got him just over pick 200. So over 100 points the other way in favor of Detroit. I felt like this was their best value pick of the draft. Obviously, being 100 points in the right direction, that's going to help you out. And then the 7th round, which starts at pick 220, a couple guys. One, I'll get it out of the way. The Green Bay Packers select Michael Pratt, Tulane quarterback, consensus big board 119. They got him at 220 plus. The kid he's an excellent game manager. He's one of those guys that was downgraded for lack of competition against him, and he is a phenomenal game manager, and he will be a great, Sean Mannion, clipboard, Josh McCown type quarterback for the next decade. Miles Harden went to Cleveland. He's a cornerback out of South Dakota State. Pick 191 on the big boards, goes 220 plus. And then last but not least, a guy that I was shocked fell to the 7th round, went to the LA Chargers. None other, the GOAT's son, Brendan Rice, goes at the 7th round, consensus big board pick of 171. They get like a 50-point value on him. I mean, if nothing else, you just get Jerry Rice at your practices. That's good enough for me. That's like, can you all the high, the Chargers social media team is so good anyways. Now they got Jerry Rice in the building. This is gonna be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But those are all my steals or value picks of the draft by round. Unless you guys have anybody else that I missed, That's really all I got in that regard.
Okay.
All right.
So do you want to go over our winners and losers real quick?
I was actually thinking about doing a second episode. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll do a second episode. So we're going to cut this episode here. We're an hour into the podcast. So that's a lot for a lot of people. We don't want to overwhelm anybody, even though we probably already have. If you're still sticking around for this video, please give us a like, a subscribe, leave a comment letting us know what y'all think. If we missed anybody that y'all thought was an absolute steal, drop them down in the comments below. Go to the Instagram, drop them there at Wide Eye Sports on X, Instagram, all that good stuff. Unless anybody got anything else, we'll see you later this week. We'll drop the next video on Friday.
Yep.
Anything else?
Yep. Nope. See you guys.
All right, boys.
See ya.